Hello guys and welcome to the GCE Maths panel online. I am Dr. Miles, your host, and in this particular video we present Additional Maths Paper 2, June 2020, Section A. Before we go on, the first thing to do is to subscribe. Please, this is very important as it goes a long way to encourage our panel members to produce more videos for you, which will help you facilitate your preparations for the GCE. Equally, don't forget, you can visit our blog www.gcemathspanel.blogspot.com, where you can have GCE past questions for other subjects. You can equally see our online classroom, our Facebook page, our various lessons, and as well as courses for high school, and a lot more for industrial, commercial, and so on. Let us begin. The first question reads, given that x plus 1 is a factor of f of x, where f of x equals that, find the value of k. So if x plus 1 is a factor, then x equals minus 1 is a root. And f of minus 1 should give us 0. So that's the idea we are using here. So we have x plus 1 is a factor, implying x equals minus 1 is a root, and f of minus 1 should give us 0. So we substitute minus 1 into this equation, and when we solve, our k is equal to 3. The B part says we show that f of x equals x plus 1 into 2x squared plus x plus 2. So we can use long division. We can equally expand and replace this value of k, which you have here to show. Here I'm using long division. So by long division, when we divide, we have the quotient to be equal to 2x squared plus x plus 2. And you can see that the remainder here is 0. Why? Because x plus 1 is a factor. The sub 2 of the equation reads, given also that alpha and beta are the roots of the quadratic x squared plus x plus 2 equals 0, find the values of alpha plus beta and alpha beta. Note that when the quadratic is written as x squared plus x plus 2, it is actually in the form x squared minus sum of roots x plus product. And here, minus sum of roots is 1 and the product is 2. So let's see. So alpha plus beta, that's the sum of roots, should be the negative of this value, which is negative 1, and the product is 2. So that's alpha plus beta, and that's alpha beta. And now write another quadratic equation with integral coefficients whose roots are minus alpha and minus beta. So here our new sum will be minus alpha plus minus beta, which is giving us minus into alpha plus beta. And knowing already that alpha plus beta is minus 1, that will give us a new sum to be plus 1. Equally, a new product to be minus alpha times minus beta, which gives us 2. Hence, our new equation is x squared minus the new sum, which is 1, plus the new product, which is 2. So this question is what? 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3 marks. That gives us a total of 8 marks. Question 2. Find the number of permutations of the letters of the word involving. So this particular word has 2 I's, as you can see, 2 N's, and 2 V's. Here we are looking for the number of permutations and not the combinations. Normally, the number of arrangements of this word should be given as n factorial, but since we have 2 I's occurring, 2 N's and 2 V's, we divide by 2 factorial, 2 factorial, 2 factorial for each of the letters that occurs twice. If any of the letters occurred thrice, for example, we'll divide by 3 factorial for that particular letter. And when we simplify, we have 15,120 ways. The sub-tool of the equation reads, find the numerical value of the term independent of x in the binomial expansion x minus 1 over 2x, all that raised to the power 10. So we can find this numerical value by using the combinations. That's 10 combination R, where R is that term independent of x, or gives us an idea of that. So times this first term is x to the power 10 minus R, and times minus 1 on 2x to the power R. That should be a term Tn. But now the term independent of x means the power of x is equal to 0. So we consider just the terms that have, or the elements which have the x, and equates to x to the power 0, so that we can look for R. And when we simplify, we have 10 to the power x to the power 10 minus R times x to the power minus 1, all raised to the power R. When we consider this one here, we have 1 over x, and 1 over x is the same as x to the power minus 1. That's why you have x to the power minus 1 here, raised to the power R. So this minus a half, we don't consider it. We are interested in the variable x. So when we solve, you have our x to be equal, R to be equal to 5. And therefore, the term independent of x is given by 10 combination 5 minus a half to the power 5. And that gives us minus 63 on 8. 5 marks. The next question. Young takes a loan of $1 million from a credit union. The loan is to be paid in 10 months in equal installments with an interest rate of 1.5%. What he owes for that month. The table below shows the repayments of the loan scheduled for the first 3 months. A, find the interest paid in the 10th month. Now, according to this question, he pays according to what he owes for that month. He's paying 100,000 for each month, plus the interest he owes that month. And this interest is calculated based on the amount he owes. For example, for the first month, he has not yet paid, or he's still to pay, he's owing $1 million. So the interest, 1.5% of $1 million is 15,000. That's why I have 15,000 here. And the total he pays is this 100,000 for that month plus the 15,000, giving us 115,000. Now for the second month, he has already paid 100,000, so he's left with 900,000. So the interest that month should be 1.5% of this 900,000, which is 13,500. The same for the third month, he has already paid 200,000. So that's what we have. In A, they want us to calculate the interest paid for the 10th month. And we can equally see that this interest follows an arithmetic progression. I'm going to show you that. So to make it, to do it in a more complex way, or in more detailed way, for each month, the interest is given by what he owes that month. So for the first month, he's owing $1 million. So minus the first month, n is equal to 0. Sorry, n is still equal to 10. So in this case, we'll still be having nothing paid. So normally we can express all of this in general as IN is equal to 1 million minus the 100,000 I has to pay for each month, all that into n minus 1, where n here is the number of months. So for example, for the first month, n is equal to 1, 1 minus 1 is 0, times this is giving us 0. So we left with 1 million times 0.015, which gives us this value that we have here. Now for the 10th month, n will be equal to 10. So 10 minus 1 will give us 9. 9 times 100,000 is 900,000. 1 million minus 900,000 gives us 100,000. Of course, you agree with me that for the 10th month, just 100,000 will be left for him to pay. So this gives us an interest of 1,500. And the interest to the 10th month is 1,500. Well, another way to do it is we can write the interest. If you look at this interest, this is an AP. Look at it very well. We have 15,000, 13,500, 12,000 from here. You can see that the interest is reducing by 1,500 francs every month. You can see that, right? So it therefore means that this is an AP with a common difference of minus 1,500. Therefore, the interest of the 10th month will be equal to A0 or A, which is 15,000 plus N minus 1Z, where N here is 10 for the 10th month, and a common difference is 1,000 minus 1,500. So this is a better way and faster way to do it. But I had to start the other one so that people will not escape from this one. Maybe somebody may have an alternative. So that's what we have A. Now the B part, the total interest paid for the 10 months. Now that you know that it's an AP, we can use the formula to calculate the total interest paid for the 10 months. And that will be given by Sn equal to n over 2 into A plus L, where A is for the interest for the first month and L is interest for the last month. And we just calculated and had 1,500. Please, if this video is too fast, move down to the bottom right of your YouTube screen and select the speed to 0.75 or 0.5, and you will get me at a much slower pace. We are talking a bit faster so that you can economize your data. So it is all left onto you. And please don't forget to subscribe so that if we upload any new video and our preps and speco, as well as you call it, you will always get a notification. And when you subscribe, click on this notification icon so that immediately we upload, you will get the notification and you can watch. Now, for the C part of the equation, the total amount of money paid back to the credit union. So this total amount of money paid back will be just this total interest plus the 1 million that was taken as loan. And that gives us a total of 1,082,500 francs CFA. The next question reads, the set S equals ABCD and the operation star forms a group. Copy and complete the table. So let us look at how we can copy and complete this table. Now look at this first row here. They have used A, they have used B, they have not used C. So just put C here. C is now complete. Look at the second row. They have used A, they have not used B. So put B here. Now for these other ones, now that I already have B here, now look at this column now. This is A and this is B. This is C. They have not used this, so I'll put D here. So this is shown here. So here they have put B. You have A, you have B here, and you have C. So D should be here. This position should be D, and this is D. And now you have B, A, D. C has not been used, so you put C here. And that is how we complete these tables, as you can see on the right-hand side. Now B, state the identity element. From here, we can get the identity element. We can get the identity element. We look at this row, this header row here, A, B, C, D. You look at any other row that will also be the same, copied out. So you have this A, B, C, D. As you can see, this one is an exact copy of it, A, B, C, D. Then we can look at the column that is copied out the same as this one, A, B, C, D. And we find it here, A, B, C, D. Where these two intersects gives us the identity element. So the identity element here is C, as illustrated here. So the identity element is C. Now state the inverse of each element. For us to find the inverse of each element, we know that when each element operates with its inverse, it gives us the identity element. When each element operates with its inverse, it gives us the identity element. So from there, we have the identity elements to be, for A, for example, the one of A, when it operates with its inverse, it should give us identity element C. And since there's C here, that identity, the inverse of A is B. Remember, recall that we had C here. The inverse of A is B, as you can see. Then the inverse of C is C, because this is the identity element here. C operates C to give C. So the inverse of C is C. So C is self-inverse, and even D is equally self-inverse. The second part of the question reads, the linear transformation T is defined by T maps xy onto 2x minus y minus x plus 2y. So the image of the point 5 minus 1 is, so the image, that transformation is 2 minus 1 minus 1, 2, the coefficients of this output. So 2 minus 1 minus 1, 2, 2 minus 1 minus 1, 2. So we pre-multiply 5 minus 1 by this, and we have the image to be 11 minus 7. Now, the next thing is to find the equation of the invariance line under this transformation. The equation of the invariance line is that line such that the point P is mapped onto itself. So each point with coordinates xy should be mapped onto itself. And when we expand this, we'll have x to be equal to y. You can equally verify using the second equation, x is equal to y. So that's the equation of the invariant line in which each point is mapped onto itself. Question 5. Please don't forget to subscribe, to share these videos with friends, and equally visit our blog www.gcemathspanel.blogspot.com, in which we have a lot of packages there for you. We have online quizzes. We have our online Facebook page in which we discuss the videos and lessons that have been uploaded. We have past questions, not only for maths, but for all the other subjects, for grammar and technical. We equally have tutorials on complete preparation for the GC in additional math and other subjects, and those who are not yet complete, and equally have our physics page that is joining us shortly. So please go to www.gcemathspanel.blogspot.com to get these papers, to get the corrections, and to get many other materials, series for high school, latest news on GCE, and so on. Thank you so much. Subscribe and share with friends to encourage the panel. Question 5 reads, a woman has 1,500 FCFA only to buy X cups of beans and Y cups of rice to prepare food for her household. Given that a cup of beans costs 100 francs and a cup of rice costs 50 francs, show that 2x plus y is less than or equal to 30. So for us to show this, the first thing is she spends not more than 1,500 francs. So 1,500 francs is the upper limit. So everything should be less than or equal to 1,500 francs. And each cup of beans costs 100 francs. And she buys X of them. So she buys a total of 100 X. For rice, she buys a total of 50 Ys. So this gives us X times 100, 100X plus Y times 50, 50Y should be less than or equal to the total amount she spent at the market. And when we divide all through by 50, we have 2x plus y to be less than or equal to 30 as required. B, show that the quantity of beans is at least, given that the quantity of beans is at least half the quantity of rice and the quantity of beans is at most twice the quantity of rice, write down two inequalities in terms of x and y that satisfy the conditions in B. So we'll first of all start by looking at the inequality. The quantity of beans is at least half the quantity of rice. At least half means that greater than or equal to half the quantity of y. Means x should be greater than or equal to, because they say at least a half, so it can be a half, it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 10, it can be 1,000. So at least half means the smallest value is a half. So x is greater than or equal to a half y. And similarly, the quantity of beans is at most twice the quantity of rice. At most means the highest value should be 2 times y. So x should be less than or equal to 2y, which you can simplify and write it as this. So we have 2x greater than or equal to y, or 2x minus y greater than or equal to 0, and x minus 2y is less than or equal to 0. So that is what we have. See, on a graph paper, taking 2 centimeters to represent 5 units on both axes, shade as to leave unshaded the region represented by the 3 inequalities. So the condition I've given there is that 2 centimeters equals 5 units on both axes. 2 centimeters equals 5 units on both axes. So first of all, make our tables for each of them. So for 2x plus y equals 30, if x is equal to 15, or let's start, if y is equal to 0, x will be equal to 15. If x is equal to 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 30 minus 10 is 20, y will be equal to 20. And if x is equal to 10, y will be equal to that. And we do the same for the other two equations. So this is what we have. So normally, I'm supposed to use 5 here, 10, 15, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20. Really don't bother about this. You can do the adjustments. Actually, sorry for this. So this is what we actually have. And the points of intersection A, B, and C are given in the next sub part. So this is what we have. So at A, we have the points 0, 0, at B, 12, 6, and at C, that's that. So the D part of the equation reads, given also that every member of the household consumes 2/3 of cup of beans and a cup of rice, find the maximum number of people this woman can feed after preparing the meal. So if one person can eat 2/3 cup of beans and a cup of rice, then what is the cost of 2/3 cup of beans? That is 2/3 of 100, right? And the cost of 2/3 cup of the cost of a cup of rice is 50. So that person can eat 1 times 50. So the total cost that one person will actually be attributed to is 66.67 plus 50. So each person can eat or can spend 116.67 francs. So if we have just 1,500, how much will, or how many people will be required to satisfy this? So it will be the total amount divided by the amount one person can eat. That gives us 12.86 people. But since we cannot talk about 12.86 people, we can round up to 13 people. That is the maximum number. We can talk about the required human meters. Or some people will say they'll round down, but in the normal sense, it not really makes sense. Yeah. All right. So the points B and C equally have amounts to be 1,500 from calculations. Question 6. Solve that equation in that interval from 0 to 180 degrees. So here we have 1 minus 2 sine squared theta equals cos theta. So we express everything in terms of cos theta. We know that sine squared theta is the same as 1 minus cos squared theta. And when we expand and simplify, we have 2 cos squared theta minus cos theta minus 1 equals 0. So this is a quadratic equation. And discriminate delta will be equal to b squared minus 4ac. And that gives us 9. And the square root is plus or minus 3. Therefore, cos theta will be equal to minus b, that's minus minus 1, plus or minus 3 on 2a. And that gives us cos theta to be equal to 1 or minus a half. In the interval 0 to 180 degrees, if theta is equal to 1, then cos theta is equal to 0. If theta is equal to minus a half, then cos theta is equal to, cos theta will be equal to 120 degrees. So that is what we have. So theta is equal to 0 or 120 degrees. The sub 2 of the equation, the function f of x is defined as root 3 cos x minus sine x, where x lies in the interval 0 to 2 pi. Copy and complete this table. So some values have already been given. So for us to copy and complete this table, we will need the value of cos x for each of these values of x. And we equally need the value of sine x for each of these values of x. So we can write our table as follows. So we have, this is cos x. You can do it directly with the calculator. This is the most important place of the table, this f of x. But this one shows the working, which is also very important. So this is what we have for the table. So we have root 3 times the value of each of the cos x. Now for f of x, we take root 3 cos x minus sine x. And this is what we actually have. From this table, you can see that the minimum value is -2 and the maximum value is +2. Now, B, we have to taking 1 centimeter to represent pi on 6 radians units on the x-axis and 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit on the y-axis. Sketch f of x. So this is it for the x-axis, pi on 6 radians, as we have. And 2 centimeters equals 1 unit on the y-axis, as you can see. This 2 centimeters equal to 1 unit. And when we plot these points, we have the minimum value of x to be -2, as you saw from the table. And the maximum value is +2, just like we saw on the table too. And C says you should find the maximum value of f of x. The maximum value of f of x is 2. Please don't forget to subscribe, and you can visit our blog for past questions. Go to YouTube for more videos in maths, additional maths, and equally as PECO. We have a lot of preparatory videos which students call PECO. You have Black June, you have the examiner's bad hand, we have many other settings. You have settings A to D. Get to our blog and get these papers. The questions are all there, paper 1 and paper 2, and equally the video corrections are equally available on YouTube to prepare you for GCE. Please, this is a very important message. You cannot prepare for the GCE without going through these papers and the past videos that we have. Thank you. So for question 7, the points P and Q have position vectors that and that respectively. Write down the vector equation of the line L1 passing through the points P and Q in the form R equals A plus TB, where T is a scalar. So the vector equation is written as, if I want to use P as the constant, the first vector, then I'll have P plus T into Q minus P. Note, if you begin with P, then it should be here, you should have P at the end. That's this direction vector should be Q minus P, not P minus Q, please. This one is very important. So when we simplify, we will have a vector equation to be written as 3i's minus 2j's plus T into minus I plus 3j's. So that's the vector equation in the form A plus TB as required. Now another line L2 has vector equation that where S is a scalar. Find the position vector of the point of intersection of the lines L1 and L2. So we have to first of all look for the point of intersection of L1 and L2. So this gives us, we equate the two. When you equate the two, we will have a simultaneous equation. And when we solve for S and T, we will have S to be equal to 1, and we will have T to be equal to -1. Now we take these values and substitute in any one of the two equations to have a vector equation of the position vector at the point of intersection. And that will give us R to be equal to, we have 3i's plus 3j's. Let me use the second one, plus 3j's plus S is equal to 1, right? So plus I plus 2j's. And this position vector at the point of intersection will be equal to 3i's plus i's, 4i's, not your i's, so students usually laugh at these things in class. Normally, you should not be saying 4i's, funny too. And then we have 3j's plus 2j's, so plus 5j's. If you decide to use T equals -1 and substitute the other equation, you will have the same value for this position vector at the point of intersection of the lines L1 and L2. Now see, find the cosine of the angle between the lines L1 and L2. So for us to get the cosine of the angle between the lines L1 and L2, we use the direction vectors. We use the direction vectors. Now, for the first one, for the line L1, the direction vector is B. For the line L1, the direction vector is B, and for the line L2, the direction vector is I plus 2j's. How do I see the direction vector? the direction vector has a scalar in front. Here it is S, and here it is T. So those are direction vectors which you are using to find the cosine of the angles. And normal direction vectors can, let me call them D1 and D2, and those are the values. So the cosine of the angle will be D1 dot D2 on Mach D1 Mach D2. So this is what we have, and when you simplify, you have the answer. Question 8, find the equation of the tangents to the curve that at the points 1, 2. So for us to get the equation of the tangents, first of all, have to get dy dx. And dy dx will be equal to 6x minus 3x squared. And at the point where x is equal to 1, we put the value of 1 in that gradient function, and we'll have our x to be equal to gradient to be equal to 3. Now the equation of the line is given by y equals m into x1, y equals m into x minus x1 plus y1, where x1 and y1 are these values given in the equation 1 and 2. When we simplify, we have y equals 3x minus 1. So this is the last equation for section A. Sections B and C are on the mechanics and statistics. So don't forget to watch the next video, which will be available shortly after this one. Please don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, very important, and leave your comments on what you have solved so that we know if you go ahead and so on. And if there are some issues, we will equally know on how to serve you better. But don't forget to subscribe and to visit our blog. We have so much there left for you, as well as our awards page, in which we usually give small stipends or tokens or whatever you call it for students when they solve and have very good marks for our quizzes that we usually do for examination students. Even from first are welcomed to the quizzes, as well as lower C students for all the 10 regions of the country, and many students equally from other countries like Equatorial Guinea and so on, that equally taking most of these lessons. Thank you so much. I have been Dr. Miles, your host, and it has been nice having you with us and the team, joining and being in our panel. So the last part of this question is to find the integral from 0 to pi of 2x minus cos 2x dx. So when we integrate 2x, we have 2x squared on 2. When you integrate cos 2x, note that when you differentiate sine, you have cos. So when you integrate cos, you have sine. So you maintain a minus sign, but now we have to divide by 2, because when you differentiate this 2x, you have 2. So when you integrate cos 2x, we have a half sine 2x. So we take the limits from 0 to pi and simplify. We have pi squared as our answer. Thank you so much and stay tuned. This has been the GCA Maths panel presenting June 2020 Additional Maths Paper 2 Section A. Bye.